why rent your Costa Verde? Because we in the real estate business tend to use the word ground floor very often. In reality, finding ground floor on the beaches of California, there's no one in this room that's ever seen that. Your parents didn't even see that. Maybe your grandparents. But if you take a look at what I'm doing in Baja, California, at the price that I'm doing it, it makes a dream a reality. It's not Sunday, it's today, and you'll be amazed how many Americans are down there full-time or part-time. So the first question we'll ask you today, should this be a part of your long-term recreational retirement portfolio? I think it should for many, many reasons. And I think all the reasons that brought me there in the 1990s are more relevant and more important today than they were back then. First, because I'm born and raised in California, is its proximity to us. Now, I've done Mazatlan, Los Cabos, Loreto, Cancun, but this is where I call home because it's 3.5 hours from San Diego. And there's a paradise in our backyard at a price point like it's 1945. And that is very attractive. It certainly got my attention. Also, I think in the future potential California will have in Baja, as future values go. Also, when I first went down there, to get there was quite an ordeal. If you drove there, by the time you got there, if you had feelings, they were loose by the time you got there. It was just one bump after another. Today, brand new highway, brand new airport, commercials coming in November. There's a lot of potential, and that potential reminds me of when we all should invest in Cabo. Back not that long ago, but there was a time. And of course, the baby boomers. The baby boomers, I'm the last year of the baby boomers. I just turned 50 years old. It took me a while to actually admit that, but I'm 50 years old, and they just allowed me to join the senior division in my golf club. There's a lot of guys like me, 50s, 55, 60s, 65, and you know what? Matt Lauer said in today's show that about 40% of those fellows and gals are going to outlive their money. That gets their attention. And I tell you this, you can't live long enough to outlive your money in Mexico. You won't live that long. And you can live a lifestyle. And I don't care how well you've done, it just goes further and you leave the rest of your family. So we'll take a look at one at a time and start with California. I had the privilege to speak all over California every single week, northern, southern, central. I'm also an Arizona broker, Nevada broker. But we just hit 38 million people in this state. 38 million. We'll be at 48 million people right around the corner. That's a lot of people. It's like a bunch of guppies in a bowl as far as that is. And here's the dilemma. We're all tired of this. I don't care where I'm speaking. Traffic, I've been here one day, I'm sick of that. Smog, noise, congestion. People ask me about this in Mexico. I'm going to go into this very carefully, crime. Because what just happened 1 hour from where I live in the Bay Area is something out of a movie. And when you're worried about crime, you should be. And you should come south faster than you realize. Because there's a lot less of it in Baja than there is anywhere. And I'll share that with you as we go through this. But guess what the number one thing we are sick and tired of? Don't say taxes, because that's number 2. You know what it is? It's each other. We're just looking for some elbow room. We're looking for a place to go that you're not elbow to elbow, bumper to bumper, in line for everything we do, and then you pay top dollar for everything. We're looking for this, to get away from this. You found this. I've been here, well, you know what this is? This is Highway 405. You know why you named it 405? Because when you drive on it, you never go more than 4 or 5 miles an hour. And I told Alicia, I said, people, because I'm a Bay Area guy, I said, people out here are nice, they wave at each other while they pass one another, but if you look carefully, they're not using all their fingers while they're doing it. And I know that my clients want to trade this for this. That's my backyard. That can be, I know you have a backyard like that right here too, but I assure you, it doesn't cost what that costs me. What that costs me will get you a 40-year-old condominium in Van Nuys, California. I'm beachfront. My taxes last year were $245. And I'll tell you what, it'll rival any beach in California, and the weather's better. So, folks that are looking to slow down, stop and smell the roses, folks that want to get away from this, their kids and grandkids as well as themselves, and they're looking for areas that are pristine, quiet, clean, safe. What do you think this Santa Barbara was like when Fess Parker bought all this property back in the day? Okay? Well, that's what I have now. It's like rolling back time. It's too late for Santa Barbara for you and me. Fess Parker took advantage of it. Well, now we're here doing the same thing he did right here, but we're going to do it and protect the environment simultaneously. There's a bunch of us headed for places like this. A lot of us will find it here. There's a tidal wave. And we're at an age where we want to stop and smell the roses, have some fun, and a lot of us are worried about retirement. We really are. We're looking, I did well, I saved my money, but who knows? And I can't tell you how many clients from Laguna Niguel and Newport Beach, and areas like that are concerned about not being able to afford to retire. And they're very successful professionals. How to win retirement? Beat the boomers. Without a doubt, the greatest opportunities will be in property, and there's less of it on ocean settings than any other kind, and that's why it is the most expensive, especially in California. In 2005, I'd been there almost a decade, it took a turn. It went abroad. More Americans retired in Mexico than anywhere else abroad. Most people don't realize that, and because of that, it launched this. Every year we're 1, 2, or 3 places to retire for Americans, from medical tourism, proximity, vacation, cost of living, all the things. Number one reason, affordable real estate. Dollar for dollar, beach for beach, location for location, it's just a heck of a value. Now, I had someone not long ago challenge me because they brought up Cabo, and they said how expensive it's gotten, or Cancun. Perhaps in Mexican terms, if you compare Cabo or Cancun to La Jolla, Del Mar, Santa Barbara, Malibu, they're still cheap. If you compare San Felipe, where we are, there's no value like this, and that I'll get into in a moment. Safety, this is a big one. How many of you heard if you go to Mexico, they'll never see you again? I hear it all the time, and I have to almost like, come on, come down. I drive them with tequila bottles. Come on, come down, because they're scared to death to come down. I had one gal, she was sitting right where you're sitting. She listened to every word that I said. She got up after, she says, if this is everything that you say it is, I think this is what I'm looking for. I'm coming down this Saturday. She made the mistake of going home and telling her friends, I'm going to Mexico. And they said, don't do it. If you go, they'll never see you again. And her husband said, honey, you go ahead, I'll watch the dog. that part I do it, actually. And she comes down, and she's on the boat, and we provide transportation. And when you're there, I have margaritas, and I have, you'll have a good time. I don't know if you're going to buy it or not. When clients come down, I really don't know. Most people do when they see the value of the price, but I don't expect everybody. I don't do the closing thing. I just don't believe in that. I want you to buy for the right thing. So everybody's having a good time, but she's in the back of the motor coach, and she won't get off. So I thought she was car sick. So I walked over and I said, are you okay? And she looks out the window at Jose, who's in the audience, and one of my other colleagues, and she says, are there bandits out there? And I said, they're just sales guys. Don't be so harsh. And she says, no, they told me if I go down there, they'll never. And I said, you know what, enough. So I did a little research because I started getting mad, and I found out some good statistics. I went to a crime symposium that actually follows every country every developed country in the world. You're 14 times more likely to get a hole-in-one in golf than be a victim of crime in Mexico. I don't know if there are any golfers in here, but if you're a golfer, you know what a hole-in-one is like. 15 times more likely to win an Academy Award. 17 times more likely to get hit by lightning. And here's the one that I like because I have 4 kids. You're 690 times more likely to find out your child is a genius. Now, maybe for some of you, I don't know. So why, then it hit me, why does the State Department have a travel warning to the #1 trading partner of the California, the #2 trading partner of the United States? They import more oil to us than the Middle East. If you have a cell phone, it's probably Mexican parts. If you have a television, it's probably coming from Mexico. If you drive a Toyota Tacoma, it was built in Tecate. They say that 3 times fast. That's not easy to do. So why is that? And then what got me mad was this, the countries that don't have a travel warning, that have much higher crime rates. All these countries have higher crime rates than Mexico. No travel warning to the U.S. State Department. The countries that have a travel warning to the U.S. State Department with Mexico, North Korea, communist country. Syria, it's in the middle of a war. Parts of Israel, which is right now they're in another war. I mean, I haven't seen any brochures lately to go vacation beachfront in North Korea. So I'm telling you, putting Mexico with that really doesn't belong. I don't know who made somebody mad in Washington, but it's just not the case. They asked one of my owners in Sacramento that drives back and forth, they said, are you afraid to drive there? Be honest. They said, we are. To be honest, we're terrified. But once we make it safely by Los Angeles, it's all good after that. That is, statistically, I assure you that's very correct. So come down, don't worry about crime. Climate, I'm in a suit because I'm only trying to impress you today. When you come down there, I'm going to be in shorts, Tommy Bahama sandals. And I live in San Francisco, so I go home in shorts, Tommy sandals. And in the wintertime, no one's wearing shorts and Tommy Bahamas in San Francisco. But I'm too lazy. I get off and I'm right there and I go to my neighbors, ask my wife, they said, doesn't your husband know it's Christmas? Why is he wearing shorts? It's freezing cold. She says, well, he just got back from Mexico. But he goes there very often, doesn't he? Yes, almost all the time. He lives half his life down there. His family goes with him too. She says, what does he do? And she says, well, it's complicated. Started a whole other bad started a rumor that I belong to a certain organization that once you join, you can never leave. I let him think that because I have beautiful daughters. I wear my sunglasses at night. But the reality is that the climate's ideal. Here's why. A lot of people aren't aware of this. On the eastern side, we don't get June gloom. We don't get May gray. We don't get those Pacific storms that come in here. We don't get any of that. We're behind a 10,000-foot mountain range that protects us. And it's just this beautiful bald protected property with calm water pretty much year-round. And it's just a great place to come, enjoy, boat, fish. Last week I went fishing. I had a whole motor coach of folks down there. I caught 100 fish in 3.5 hours. I promise you. They shouldn't have called fishing. They should have called it catching. The climate's ideal. Cost of living's half. It's just my tax bill, $245 on my beachfront. It's double wrap around decks looking at the ocean. Infrastructure, right now you have $250 billion going into that country. And healthcare, when you have Time Magazine asking this question, is the answer to our healthcare dilemma in Mexico? Perhaps. Because when you have 60% of the people that filed bankruptcy in the United States filed bankruptcy because they got sick. Maybe there is something down there. I know when you come to our surgeon that went to Berkeley University Medical School in the United States, he'll do a house call to your living room for $45. It's going back. You can enroll in Social Security for $278 a year and you don't have to be a national. So now, that's what happens. You open up your eyes like, I had no idea. I didn't have any idea either. Follow the companies. Billions are going in there. There's a lot of money going into Mexico. And behind the money, people will come, and that's why, and I'm the guy helping them come. Mexico, the new China. Boomtown is kicking China's dragon. I'll give you websites to get all the stuff that I'm sharing with you. But when you read this, absolutely, we're going to outsource no matter what. Now, you can outsource to Asia, which is very expensive compared to outsourcing to your own continent. Our neighbor to the south, less than illegal immigration. It's a win-win for both sides of the border. I assure you their economy has an impact on our economy and vice versa. It's a global economy now. Their workforce is under 30 years of age, 50% of the population, and they're educated in its first world. So if you now outsource compared to going to Asia, you know, if you come down to this border right here, it's called Silicon Border. You're going to see Sony, Hitachi, Dremel, some of the biggest companies on the U.S. and Mexican side because of NAFTA. Watch this, and I'll tell you what. In this article, they said Mexico is like the United States about 1946. When my father came back from World War II, got the GI Bill, bought my mom her first house, bought a washing machine, first car, and all of us are the beneficiaries of the greatest prosperous time in the history of our world. We are the beneficiaries of that. That was 1946. That was World War II generation. Well, if Mexico is the U.S. 1946, then Baja is California of Mexico. And I know that if I could have gone to California in 1946 in a time capsule, I would have done like Fess Parker. I'd have lined up this place right here and a lot of other beach. Because who knew? Well, you know what? Property on water always does well. That's why all these folks are smiling. They're all from the Bay Area. They all invested in projects up there and down there in Mexico. So that's why. That's why Baja. And it's not a secret. There's already 1 million of us there. Time Magazine put it out. And here's why it's ideal for our location is we're so close to all these folks. Orange County, Palm Springs, San Diego, Phoenix, Tucson, Southern Nevada. Roughly in these cities just here, and the surrounding states in red, represents 46 million people, 24% of the United States GDP. That means there's a lot of buying power. Most of it right here. But why will they come? There's no ocean, no ocean, no ocean, no ocean. Got some casinos, no ocean. The most expensive coastline in the country, and they just built a highway to our front door. 3.5 hours to the west, it's $8 million for what I sell for $92,000. Wow. And you cannot tell the difference. So the Mexican government said, let's build a brand new highway. I remember when I announced this 10 years ago, people laughed at me. It's a brand new highway now, brand new airport. The marina, I just launched out of it last week going fishing. So it's like going back in time a bit. They called this poor man's La Jolla in my local newspaper in the 90s. I just started down there and I'm like, why would they say this poor man's La Jolla? Then I thought about it, and I disagreed. And here's why. Just because somebody in this room, and I'll speak for myself, can't afford an oceanfront piece of property in La Jolla, doesn't make you poor. It makes La Jolla $2,000 a square foot. And at $2,000 a square foot, real estate statistics say that 99.9% of the people in this room can't or won't do that. Mostly can't. So you go your whole life wishing, hoping, dreaming, and playing the lottery, or come down. I remember when I first went down there, my wife said to me, are you going to move to Mexico? I said, I don't know, but we're buying some of it. Look at this view, look at these beaches, look what they want for the price. Well, that's years ago. Today I have several homes, I'm building a third one right now. I spent about half my life down there, and when I'm retired, that's where I'll be. Because San Felipe is just the location. You know as real estate people are all about the location. But every bit as important location is timing. If this makes sense to you, and I hope that it does. And you come down and take a peek, and that you should do. And if you want to come and represent us, I'm looking for folks to join us because we have some great folks that already have. Your timing's ideal. Fonatur showed up. You don't know Fonatur probably by name, but I bet you know where they've been. Hualtuco, Loreto, Ixtapa, Los Cabos, Cancun, all these areas were done by Fonatur. Anybody been to Cabo? Yeah. I started going to Cabo when I was a young man because my brother is 22 years older than I am. Same parents. They're gluttons for punishment. He's old enough to be my dad. First time I went fishing at Cabo, I was 10 years old. The road to our hotel was dirt. There was no Cabo corridor. You know what the Cabo corridor is? Now it's Cadencia, Palmilla, Cabo del Sol, Las Villas. Sanchez Navarro just built an entire marina. They said, why would he build one? There's already a marina. Well, he did. And you know who just moved down there? Not only Jennifer Aniston and George Clooney, Oprah Winfrey. She's got a place down there in Cabo. I said to Maritza, I said, people are worried about getting kidnapped. If anybody gets kidnapped, they'll take Oprah before they take you or me. I said. But when I looked at Los Cabos, I said, what did Cabo? Cabo is got the mountain, the Sea of Cortez, the beautiful desert transition to the sea, and it's called the Cabo Corridor, and today they're $2 million. When you come and see us, we have the exact same corridor. It's called the San Felipe Puertecitos Corridor, a bigger mountain range, a gentle transition to the sea, no storms, because you never seen a hurricane come in, make a left, come through here, here. They said to me, I was in Cancun, they said, it's a price for paradise. I said, man, you guys get hit by hurricanes. I don't know if I'd like to be with my kids and get hit by a hurricane. He says to me, well, we haven't been hit direct lately. And I said, once is too much for me. And he got mad. He says to me, well, you're from San Francisco. You guys have earthquakes in California. I said, we do have earthquakes, but we don't have earthquake season. There's a big difference. No one's naming earthquakes in California. So this little corridor right here is just ideal. It's like going back in time. You know anything about Cabo? And I remember this was when Sun Trips was the only way to get there. Now you've got all the airlines going there. Now you got the stars going there. Back in the day it was John Wayne, Robert Mitchum. Today it's Oprah and Jennifer Aniston. This is Cabo. And I'm going to say this to you, and I know you expect me to say it, but our view's better. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. Look carefully. Cabo has one hump. We have two. Twice the humps, 800 miles closer, fraction of the cost. That's the view from my yard. That's what I wake up to every single morning. That's what you can do at the price point. This is Cabo. I pulled this off the internet because these lots in here are like $300,000. You know what my lots are? $17,500 for a quarter acre with a view like that. If you want to be beachfront like La Jolla for $8 million, it's $92,000. That's the most expensive stuff I have. Dead level. And I assure you this. I know you're all real estate. You've never seen a subdivision like this. You never have. I worked too long. We bought this 30 days after we almost went into the Depression. And that's how we were able to, we bought all this land when everybody was running from real estate. And we bought it and we're able to make it not only affordable, but environmentally friendly, and that's important because we have a responsibility to future generations. We really do. And we have to start living up to that responsibility, and I'll show you how we're doing. This is the Palmilla. This is where Oprah is. If you want a lot in the Palmilla, it's $2.5 million. That same view at Rancho Costa Verde is $92,000. So I believe this to be very true. It's put out by the government. I think as now the infrastructure has come in, which is there. When I got there, it wasn't. Now it is. I just launched out of here. This has got all the potential of any marina in Cancun, Cabo, or anywhere else. It's perfect, and it's calm, and the weather's ideal. And the Baja Peninsula is quite like no other area you've ever seen because it's an anomaly. And I'll show you what I mean. First of all, people don't realize how big Baja is. It's longer than the nation of Italy. And it's surrounded by water on both sides, unlike California. Why it's an anomaly is that it's only 70 to 80 miles wide, 1,000 miles long. There's a mountain range that goes right to the top called the San Pedro Matir, and then it dovetails into the Gigante range. Here's why it's an anomaly. There's more beach than anything else. Everything else is mountainous terrain. Where have you ever seen that beach is the abundant amount of this type of property? Because everything else is like this. In fact, when you go up into these, it's gorgeous. There's wineries, there's an observatory. You know who just moved into those mountains? The California condor. I told my wife, I said, even the California condors relocated to Baja for obvious reasons. So highway, and this is a playground. Yeah, this is a playground. Fonatur bought every single marina right on the water. This is going live in November, and that's a game changer. And you can start going now. They just announced they filed for the permits. Seaport Airlines out of San Diego and Seattle. They have affiliations with Alaska and I think it's Delta. And this way you can. I have people right now buying from Nebraska, Tennessee, Canada, Pennsylvania, Paris, France. These are all transactions that I've just closed. And it's in your backyard. I was in Chicago giving this presentation, and we knocked them dead. You know why? Those folks in Chicago have a problem. It's not crime. It's freezing out there. It's freezing. So now that you can fly it, watch. By land, by air, and by sea. And this, when you bring in infrastructure, ingress and egress, just like the Wall Street Journal said back in 2003, big things ahead for the Baja. It has, all that happened. But there's more on the horizon. So ultimately, as these things and infrastructure comes in, as more development like us and others do, the internet now is opening up the whole world to us. Watch what happens as baby boomers continue to age, as people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, as people don't want to be elbow to elbow, and they don't want to pay. You know, electricity is going up 50% in the next 5 years in this state. If there's a way where we never have another power bill, I don't know about you, but I'm into listening anyway, and that's what we're doing. So when you come down and you take a look at San Felipe, it's a beautiful little community. It overlooks the sea. It's like going back in time. When the sun goes down, the fun begins. The fish taco from Rubio's came from San Felipe. Read his menu. If you come and stay as my guest, I'll put you up at a hotel. You walk out, you'll be right on the beach. You can take a stroll to town, and no one's bothering you. Have a ball, have a margarita, walk around the bay. I took this photo. This couple was having such a good time, and then I noticed they had the biggest bucket of Coronas I'd ever seen. I told my brother, that's what we sell. We don't sell real estate. If I get anybody doing that, you'll thank me the rest of your life. I'll tell you what, when you come down, we are the shrimp capital of Baja. Mazatlan's the shrimp capital of Mexico. We're the shrimp capital of Baja. And these things are giant. They take the shrimp at the shrimp festival, about this big. They stuff them with seasoned cream cheese. They wrap them in bacon, and they barbecue them. It's a heart attack on a stick. The fact that Jose and I are still here, it can't be that bad for you. We're still here. You have never, ever seen shrimp this big, ever. Those aren't shrimp. Those are food. The shrimp festival, come down. It's first week of November. It is a blast. And we have a festival just about every event you can think of, at least once a month, sometimes twice a month. The water looks like an ocean, acts like a lake because it's an inland sea. It's not the wide open ocean. I took this photograph behind my house because these aren't my kids, but every one of these kids have their back to the water. I never let that happen in parts of Cabo or San Francisco because you're worried about those rogue waves. Not here, it's very gentle and mild. One last thing I'll talk about crime. That's my youngest son, Richard. That's my namesake, Robert. One of my daughters, Victoria. My other daughter was in school when I took this picture. And I assure you, I would not take the most valuable thing I have in my life anywhere that I deem dangerous. Nor would I ask you. I know when Lou Dobbs and these guys talk about crime, can you imagine not coming to California because of a crime in Nebraska? Would that make sense logically in your brain? No. But for some reason with Mexico, it's okay. There was a crime by Belize. We better not go to Cabo. It's a huge country. 31 states. More shoreline than the contiguous United States. So it's very safe there. There's no cartel guys down there. There's just, come on, I bet you there's more probably within driving distance than here. Now, speaking of driving distance, you don't need a car down there. I have two of these. I drive everything like that.
Wow.
You got to get these things. You can go to the mountains. There's quake enhancement, bighorn sheep, trout fishing, pronghorn antelope, waterfalls. The largest cactus in the world live down there. They don't live in Arizona. They're called the Cardones, and we are the most vibrant desert in the world. You got to do this. So Hot Springs, 10 minutes from our front door. Last year I was down there was a couple from Elk Grove, and they were soaking. The guy had like injuries from football, so he says, "Oh man, makes my arthritis feel so good." And his wife is soaking with him, and she's up next to him, and she says, "Are you married?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Tell your wife that if she soaks in this tub, it will make her skin velvety soft." I said, "Oh, I'll tell her." She goes, "No, feel my thigh." And I said, "No, I believe you. It's okay." She says, "No, just rub my thigh." And I said, "No, your husband might not get it." "He doesn't care, rub my thighs." So I did. My wife got so mad. Did you really rub it? I said, "I did." And it was velvety soft. When you come down there, that's about 10 minutes from us. This guy takes you 1,000 feet in the air, turns off the engine. And once you get used to the screaming, the view's really good. And you take all over. Not all properties created equal. I chose this area because of this mountain. It creates an alluvial fan of 4%. And then if I put height restrictions, CCNRs, and guidelines, it protects everyone's views. You own it. It's not a lease. It's irrevocable, absolute, in perpetuity. It's yours, your children's, and their children's. And we want you to come down and do this. Have a ball as our guest. This guy was afraid to come down, not because of crime, because of salespeople. Because he says, "I went to a timeshare in Cabo, I rented a jet ski, and they locked me in a room." I don't want to do that. I don't believe in that. Come down, watch the sunrise. In fact, this tree, I love it. It's ocotillo. We try to protect it, all the trees. If you're going to build a Spanish courtyard there, we'll move the tree. If we have to hurt a tree that's actually an endangered species, we transplant 5 in its place. If it has a GPS coordinates registered with Semirnat, then what we do is we just leave it right in the middle of that road. It never gets touched. We have trees that are over 1,000 years old. I love this tree because it has 2-inch long, razor-sharp, needle-like thorns. You know what they do? They'll pop a tire. You know what they do with these in Mexico? It's actually brilliant. Mexican fathers plant these under their daughters' windows. I put 2 giant ones under the coal in the toilet. One day one was tilted. I got out there with a flashlight looking for footprints. But the reason why we are so environmentally conscious is we sit next to one of the most protected bodies of water in the entire globe, the Sea of Cortez. John Steinbeck called it God's aquarium. And the reason why it's so protected is this. You know what that is? That's called the vaquita. That's the most endangered sea mammal in the world. It wasn't even discovered until 1959. There's no more than 300 of them. It used to be the second most endangered mammal in the world until 2008 when the scientists finally agreed that the Chinese river dolphin was officially extinct. Isn't that a shame? It's gone. We killed it all. So we don't want that to happen to a vaquita. So it's very protected. So ladies, when you're out there swimming and you feel something tickling the back of your leg, it may not be the guy you're with. It might be the vaquita. You look at some of the guys in here, it might be 50-50. Also the sea turtle and the whales. The whales go right by us every springtime that happens. You can whale watch from your backyard. Now the reason why we love this slope makes all these homes, and we do the master plan, everything's custom, everything we build is guaranteed warranty. We build it 6 to 8 months. There's no time limit on building. You might buy a lot, build 10 years from now. You might build 10 minutes from now. It's up to you. But let me tell you, what we build as far as security and what we're building right here, with all due respect, and I'll prove my point. But one thing you'll notice right away that every one of these homes has in common, not a thing. There are no 2 homes alike. Everything's custom. I was doing this presentation in Scottsdale. Every home, same tile, same style, same color, on top of each other. If you sneeze, I bet you hear God bless you. It's your neighbor. So here's subterranean. This is a $17,500 lot. That's the view that you have for something like that. This is double RV garages, stained glass shutter, handmade shutter, stained glass windows. This guy's got an RV that, so help me, costs more than the homes we built. It's a bus. When he gets tired in the Northern Cal, he drives down there and he spends the winters with us, and we park it for him in the home that we built for him. And you bring your toys down, we'll even rent. I have 2 homes on the beach. One is just for rent, and I rent out the folks. Now, the interior, you can see, travertine, Croy stone, Maruca wood, solid core doors, hidden hinges, bull doors, corners, vaulted ceilings, dual pane windows with argon glass. All the things that we pay top dollar for, we do down there, but we do it for $78 per square foot, custom design, built, delivered. If you build a 1,000 square foot home, looking at the ocean, it's $78,000. But depending on the solar, if you put a big solar, let's say it was 25, add that, you're into it, the lot, 115 grand. You're into a custom how you want it. I'll show you a house that we just did for $78,000, including the solar and the lot. And that's, if you guys want to come see, maybe potentially joining us, come on down. We were talking about doing a bus trip, which we'd love to do. I sponsor trips all the time. Come down there and take a look. Like this gentleman, he is the retired captain of police of Santa Monica. He used to be in charge of SWAT in Los Angeles. And he says, I want beachfront, no beach view, beachfront. I said, Mark, you can't afford beachfront. You're a captain of police, with all due respect. You know what it costs? You have no idea what it costs. I said, you got to come to Mexico. You know what he said? I can't go to Mexico, it's dangerous. I said, you're the captain of SWAT in Los Angeles. That's dangerous, man. I said, if you want this, you got to come down because you're not going to see it. Let me ask you a question. You're all real estate folks. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have actually ever seen an undeveloped beach lot in this state? A whole bunch of professionals, not one of you. It's kind of like Bigfoot. You've heard of it, but you've never seen it. Can't believe it. You're right next to the ocean. You've never seen a beach lot. You know why? Don't feel bad. Because in 2010, there were 16 between Southern Orange County and Tijuana. Today, there's 3. Best one, La Jolla, $8 million. Besides, calling that a beach lot is a stretch. Where I'm from, we call this a cliff. If you want to lay out, you've got to bring a rope and a harness. That's my beach lots. Dead level. That's your backyard. Very calm sleep. Our house, this is built with polystyrene block, which carries R35 to R55 insulation. It has lateral steel reinforcement gauge 5, both horizontal and vertical, filled with each tube with cement. It creates one monolithic wall that is 700 times stronger than anything being built in the state of California. Mold will not grow on it. Fire does not want to burn it. Sound doesn't permeate it. And if you turn on your air conditioner for an hour, leave it off the rest of the day because your house stays cold. Put on your heater, leave it off the rest of the day because it stays warm. This is as state-of-the-art as it gets. We build you a barbecue pavilion, patio deck looking at the ocean. You can watch the World Cup and the whales at the same time if you want. Granite, you have stainless steel, microwave, flat screen, every channel known to man, washer, dryer, and air conditioning, all because of this. And if you got a place that's sunny 360 days a year, why not utilize it? I have a guy that has a backup generator, 2 years he's lived there, never had to turn it on once other than just to lubricate itself. So, I don't want to pay power bills, unless you don't know power bills. It's here. You can't do this in Vancouver, but you can do it in Baja. So, wastewater treatment plant, you like tap fees, hook up 10, 15, 20 grand at a time? That's antiquated development. We use an individual wastewater treatment plant. It's not a septic. Septic is anaerobic. That's why you have odor. We're aerobic. What it does in 24 hours, a septic will do in 30 days. It has the power drain of a light bulb. It has the sound of a refrigerator. And all the water that it cleanses, 98% pure, gets taken back into a reservoir, into a timing system to water your garden. You can water your garden 7 days a week, you'll never have another bill. Also, we brought in the reverse osmosis to bring all the other systems water, make sure that it's ideal. And we have an atmospheric water maker that we imported from Israel that makes water out of air and sunshine, because we're next to the water, you have humidity in the air. So you can make 30 gallons of drinking water in 24 hours. The technology's been there, and it's getting better all the time. They finally said, okay, let's let them drive electric cars. We should have been driving them 25 years ago, and we could have been. So now, let's take a second look. Poor man's La Jolla. You be the judge. Here's La Jolla. It is pretty, but it's $8 million. Here's us, 4 hours to the east. Here's us side by side. 8 million? Not 8 million. And if you can do the 8 million, I'll give you my card later. Now I know you're not, I'm almost done. You've never seen a subdivision like this. Angled cul-de-sacs, 50% open space, view corridors, height restrictions and setbacks with walking trails, because we want you to come out there and protect the land. The reason why we angle them like that is because the coastline's angled. And since we're building from scratch, we said let's build around what God already gave us. So if we can build on this angle and angle the properties, we can create views for everybody, not just the lucky few in the very front row. And that's it. And then let's build on the cul-de-sacs so people aren't driving by all day long. Just, 25% of the emissions get sucked up by the oceans of our world. Eventually, we're going to have to just eat cheeseburgers, and we're not going to eat fish again. So you got to look at the future for not us, our kids. And then we leave all these view corridors. We shoot engineering sight lines to create the view corridors. You know who loves us that we didn't put 3 lots here? All these guys. So let's say, Rob, I want a lot with an unobstructed view, but I don't want to pay $92,000. I'll get you that one. End of the cul-de-sac. No neighbors. Your backyard, deck, observation deck. Open space, open space, open space, 4% slope. You get to the next house, guess what? No house, no house. By the time you get to the house, you're overlooking the house. That's a better way to do it. And you'll never see a California developer doing that because they can't afford to. Because they got to take advantage of every single inch. So this is our clubhouse. These are our beach lots. And we're having casitas. So if you buy a lot, you say, Rob, I'm not going to build for 5 years. You get 1 free week every year in one of those casitas as a property owner. The reason why I did that, the average price of a timeshare is $19,000 in Mexico for an American. I thought to myself, if somebody's willing to spend $19,000 for a week vacation, let's give it to them. They can pretend like they bought a timeshare and I gave them a lot as an incentive instead of a jet ski. And that's what we've done. You buy 2 lots, you get 2 weeks. This lot, house, and solar, $78,000. So you've been a wonderful audience. In closing, I'll say, I promise you, as hard as I try, and as beautiful as these photos are, it's twice as good in person. You can't capture what we really have down there. It's when the sun goes down, it looks like a volcano. There's no ambient light, so the stars, you'll see things you've never seen in years. And it just truly is, I believe, as far as looking at places that are affordable and with what I'm talking about, I don't know of any other location with the proximity and advantages that San Felipe has, at a time when a lot of people are still hurting, and they're worried about the next go down that are coming around. And it's going to come. It's cyclical. It's been that way since the beginning of time. Price, $17,500 is the price of a Corolla. I bought my daughter a Corolla to go to college, and I said to my wife when I signed the check, this is a quarter acre. She said she can't buy a quarter acre to go to school. I said, I know, but it's going to go lose money as soon as she goes off the lot for rubber, metal, and plastic. Well, she graduated, so it had a happy ending, but I'm telling you, 17.5 for a quarter acre. It averages 1 acre per person as far as open space, with nothing but ocean view. And I do my own financing. I used to use a financing company, and they used to charge you 13.9% interest because it was Mexico. So we started doing our own financing. So now our interest rate is 7.5. This way, everybody payments of $180. It's been a wonderful audience. We're going to have a drawing for some tequila, so don't run out of here because now we get to the important stuff. But I'd like to say for listening, thank you very, very much. Thank you.
That's all we have to go to Baja. Thank you so much. So we got about 40 minutes before or to the next. Okay, raffle. We're gonna do a little raffle here, and then after that we'll take a lunch break for 40 minutes. So raffle is happening here.